frame rates above 60 FPS, ultra-wide resolutions, and better ray trace reflections. These are some of the unique benefits gamers will get when playing Marvel's Spider-Man's PC release on their powerful gaming rigs. But as cool as all these features are, I already personally experienced a great looking and running version of Spider-Man on my PS5. What I haven't had the chance to do is play it on the go. Until now. So screw all those fancy features and say hello to Spider-Man running on the Steam Deck. But is it a good experience? The answer is mostly a big old thumbs up, but with a few caveats. Before we start, I want to address that everything we talk about here is based on our time with a pre-release version of the game. Sony told us up front that they are still working on optimization and warned us about certain issues they plan to fix. In fact, we got a big fat update just a few days before this video launched, offering some major improvements. So it's possible some of the issues we talk about will be improved down the line in future patches. Let's get right into the good news, which is that Spider-Man on Steam Deck is a really solid experience. The majority of the game, swinging around the city, beating up bad guys, doing side activities, all comfortably hits frames above 30 FPS. Sadly, we couldn't get the game to hit 60 FPS even at the lowest settings and using dynamic resolution as well as upscale methods like AMD's FSR 2.0 set to ultra performance. Although, considering what it does to the image, even if it did hit 60 FPS, you probably wouldn't want to use it anyways. But we'll touch more on FSR 2.2 in a moment. So forget 60 FPS and instead look to target 30. The thing is, like Spider-Man himself, the frame rate likes to swing around and fluctuate wildly, which creates a pretty unpleasant experience while playing. The simple solution is to lock the game to 30 FPS. Normally, to do this, you'll need to set the resolution to exclusive full screen, and then you get the refresh rate option. But on Steam Deck, it is not accessible. Thankfully, there is a simple fix, using Steam Deck's built-in FPS limiter. Open up the quick access menu, go to performance, set the frame rate limit to 30, and you're all set. Smooth 30 FPS web swinging in the palm of your hand. Sure, you might miss the 60 FPS, especially if you're coming from the PS5 or playing on a desktop, but considering that the original PS4 version of Spider-Man was locked to 30 FPS, and therefore designed around that frame rate, playing on the Steam Deck doesn't feel like a compromised experience, at least when you're Spider-Man. There are a few sections in the game where you play as Peter Parker or Mary Jane in indoor environments with higher detail, and here the frame rate is less stable, fluctuating from 30 FPS down to 25. Just enough to be noticeable and annoying, but because the gameplay in these parts is mostly just walking around, it's not a deal breaker. Same goes for the cutscenes, which usually hit 30 but can dip in spots. This is where we return to our upscale methods. Turning on FSR 2.0 to quality mode does fix this right up, locking everything to 30 FPS. But it does come with ghosting and other visual oddities you'll have to compromise with if you choose to turn it on. Sony did tell us the current build offers preliminary support for FSR 2.0, and further development is ongoing for image quality improvements. So it's possible FSR 2.0 might be more effective in the future and look better. The other upscale option is Insomniac Games' temporal injection, called IGTI, which switches between multiple upscale algorithms, including FSR 2.0. Personally, I didn't notice much of a difference in image and performance between the two on the Steam Deck, so take your pick. But what about the rest of the graphic settings? The sweet spot seems to be medium across the board. It creates a pretty good looking image on the Steam Deck's 800p screen. Dropping down to low didn't really give any significant boost to performance to be worth the loss in visuals, and going higher would cause the game to crash. Once you get everything all set up, the game looks pretty nice on the Steam Deck. Cutscenes appropriately scale to the 16:10 screen, filling up everything nicely, although menus do not, but it's less noticeable. Speaking of menus, they mostly play pretty well on the tiny handheld screen, although I do find that text can be a little all over the place in spots. Sometimes it's nice and large and easily readable, and other times it can be pretty tiny. But I'll say that compared to some other games where I struggled with the UI being scaled down to such a tiny size, I didn't feel that way with Spider-Man and found it to be a pretty natural fit on the handheld. So, should you play Spider-Man on your Steam Deck? Abso-freaking-lutely. Small performance issues aside, the game feels like a perfect fit for the portable PC. It plays great, and the nature of the open world makes it really easy to just turn on and do a few quick side activities during lunch. In fact, I made the effort to spend most of my time with the PC version of Spider-Man on the Steam Deck, and despite having already 100%ed the game twice and thinking I didn't really need to touch it again, I found myself having a great time playing it on the handheld.